And we can draw some parallels between situation of Kosovo and Ukraine. Because the result why Kosovo became independent, it was genocide. It was inevitable, our experience, our historical and personal experience, because the invaders, they use the same patterns, unfortunately. They learn from each other. And to me, the danger of the whole situation was exactly about this word escalation. Because in our situation, when we are fighting desperately for our survival, to have escalation in the Balkans is too dangerous. It is in the interest of Putin. He's trying to create such escalation in the Middle East, in the Balkans, in the Indo-Pacific, because he understands that the only thing which can save his regime is diverting attention from his aggression against Ukraine. That's why it was so dangerous, and that's why the letter was so important, to attract attention of world leaders, of global community, to this coming escalation in the Balkans.
Also, I want to talk a little bit about why did you show such a big heart about this? Because most Ukrainians I have met until now, and when I visited here and talked to your institutions, the attitude was, we're too busy fighting Russia. We are in the middle of war, and you're asking us to think about Kosovo. Our heart is just like too engaged with this. How come a year after your invasion and busy with your war, you took the risk of signing this letter, for which you were disciplined by Vučić?
Well, to tell you the truth, it was quite a risk for me. But I don't regret, because I did it on moral grounds. The truth is that Russia is waging a war against Ukraine, which is genocidal war, which is imperialistic and which is colonial war. Russia wants us to bring us back as a colony. And the Russia is committing right now against the Ukrainian nation the crime of genocide. And we can draw some parallels between situation of Kosovo and Ukraine. Because the result why Kosovo became independent, it was genocide. Euphemistically, it was called ethnic cleansing, but from legal perspective, it was genocide committed by regime of Milosevic against people in Kosovo. Russia right now is committing genocide against Ukrainians. And in order to prevent, by the way, it's our legal obligation under the Convention of on the Prevention of Genocide of 1948, it's obligation of each country to do everything to prevent genocide. That's why I think when we see genocide taking place in other parts of the world, it is our moral duty to react to this and try to prevent this. And it was one of the reasons why I had signed this letter.
But this is quite a new narrative that you are putting, the parallel between Kosovo and Ukraine, which Kosovars feel so much. They have welcomed at least 20 journalists are now residing. There's a huge Ukrainian flag in the middle of my capital city, Pristina. There is outright support for Ukraine. But until now, in Ukraine, how can you explain that it is largely the Russian narrative that has dominated, that Putin used Kosovo to compare with Donetsk People's Republic, Luhansk People's Republic, and hasn't your public in Ukraine taken that narrative to believe it's true, rather than the narrative you're talking about today in front of me?
Yeah, I'm sure that you have noticed when you're talking to common people in Ukraine, you would definitely notice that majority of Ukrainians have very warm and friendly feelings towards Kosovo. And they support Kosovo because exactly for this reason, because they see certain parallels and they understand how it feels to live when your neighbor is bullying you constantly, when it threatens to invade you, when the neighbor is using different kinds of provocations. You know, there are lots of similarities.